Great. I'm actually saving. Um, we had two things in the agenda. The first one was Doria Avenue between 233rd and Strang. Um, there were complaints about the cars, the speeding of the cars through the neighborhood. Is anyone here from Doria Avenue? Okay, so we're gonna move on. Um, so we're gonna talk about the White Plains Road bike lanes. Um, is there anyone that wants to start talking about the bike lanes on White Plains Road until DOT if they're coming onto the meeting?
Yeah, just talk.
Y-
All right, Luke,
Yes.
you could go ahead, Luke.
Thanks. So the White Plains Road project, it's a bike safety and pedestrian project that spans all the way down from Burke Avenue to I think right now to 17th Street and eventually all the way up to 223rd or 233rd. This is one of the first types of bike lanes that the city has done underneath an elevated train. So the reason the city did this is because they find that the layout of the street underneath elevated trains, like the 2 train in our district, is very unsafe for a lot of people. Um, there's a lot of double parking right next to businesses, and this leads people to walk into the traffic lanes to catch the bus or to catch their Uber or to just cross the street. And with all of these beams in the way, it is very challenging for cars to go around, for people to walk. So their DOT's intention, and I don't speak for them, but is to organize traffic in a way that supports people in the neighborhood being able to use other modes of transportation, which can get around more efficiently than a big bulky car underneath some of these, tight corners. But some of the challenges that at least, I'm a person that I bike every single day to work, shopping, everything, and I find that people are double parking in the bike lanes. People are blocking hydrants. Uh, I have to go around cars into the traffic lane. So there's been a lot of challenge with that. Also, I know there's parking concerns like always, but I think where the city's coming from and where safe street advocates are coming from is that we have to try to provide, our streets aren't going to get wider. If they get any wider, we're going to have to start bulldozing houses, which has a very long history in New York City. So we have to rethink how we do the streets. So the city is trying to put these bus bulb outs so people can stand safely while they wait for the bus. And this part of allowing kind of micro mobility, smaller modes of transportation to move safer is part of that. But it's got some growing pains, which we'll talk about tonight.
All right, great. Anyone next? I know Q,
Yeah, I'll go next. Thank you so much for that, Luke. So I'm Q. I've owned a business on White Plains Road for quite some time. I actually grew up in the area in terms of going to elementary school, middle school, high school, and then I went to Baruch College in the city for undergraduate. And I'm just gonna have to emphatically disagree that it's a disaster. Just plain and simple, it's a disaster. I'm going to have to be honest in watching what's being done. It's actually causing more congestion. Luke, I literally am driving on White Plains Road right now, and there is a truck parked in the middle of the street. So what's happening is that cars that are traveling northbound are coming into the southbound lane to get around those cars. And guess what? Cars in the southbound lane trying to go northbound are backed up because there's no parking. So we have to, yes, double parking was bad, but we now have a situation in which what we've created has become worse. And I feel that there wasn't enough inclusivity in the decision making of this. I feel that the Department of Transportation and the city actually made decisions without really understanding the ramifications of those decisions. Now, I know you said it went up to about 217. No, it went from Burke Avenue all the way very close to 241st. And I myself, took time out of my busy schedule to literally walk from Gun Hill Road to up to 233rd on the north side, and then literally walk back, speaking with business owners, speaking with pedestrians, speaking with people that live in the area. We're talking about making this area safer. I have a minimum of 10 claims of people that have been hit, some of them hit unconscious to the ground because of the type of action in the bike lanes or the cars going there or the bikes speeding past. Okay, I'm an avid bike rider as well, and let me tell you something. I cannot economically fully support businesses in the area riding my bike. I may be able to buy a bottle of water. I may be able to get, maybe some gum, but I am not doing that much. So we have to look at the demographic of the area, because each home now in this area, from 1995, there was 1 car to 1.5 cars. In 2023, there are 3 cars per home. So people in this area, we don't have high rises. We don't have, many apartment buildings. People are driving to where they have to go. They're supporting businesses, and what ends up happening is that, look, I see a business right now on the corner of 227th and White Plains Road as I'm driving that I'd like to support, and I kid you not, there's no parking. I'm going to go up to Bronxwood and make a turn and come back down, but guess what's going to happen? I may not find parking. After my second time of going around, Luke, I am going to continue driving, and guess what? That business is going to lose the sale. So, yes, we have to understand that we want to make the area safer, but we have not done that. I have a million photos of trucks, delivery trucks parked in the middle of the street, while the MTA buses, the 39 buses, backed all the way behind that, and they have to wait. The delivery truck has no place to go. So this is a big fail. I know this was an initiative done by the previous mayor. If the new mayor and the commission of the Department of Transportation want to continue this in said black and brown community, I don't think it's going to work. It's not going to happen. You literally have the bike lanes transferring over into the sidewalk on 219. I have a picture of that. Why is the bike lane going into a sidewalk? I've never seen that anywhere in my life. You are actually literally encouraging bikers to be on the sidewalk where they could potentially hit the pedestrians. It does not make any sense. And businesses are going to suffer, and people are going to stop coming to our area. So there's something that needs to be done. Parking spots have been taken. People in this area drive. If this was Fifth Avenue, Manhattan, I would not have a single thing to say. Bike lanes work in certain areas. They don't work in all areas. And I feel that the Department of Transportation, along with the city, need to work with people in the community so we can come to a solution that works well for everyone. I've been in this community over 25 years of my life. I've done so many things in terms of just, philanthropy, where I've used my own money to fund certain projects and events for schools and children. I am a good person to the community, but I'm going to be honest, Luke. If something doesn't get done, I am going to leave this community. I used to love driving here, love coming. I hate coming to my business because I can't find parking. My customers are frustrated. The people in the area are frustrated, and we are losing money. So let's think about the lives that we are affecting before we start being the first ones to go with some big city initiative that's actually going to fail. Thank you, guys.
All right, thanks. We have too many
Okay,
people.
can I talk? Hi, I'm
Deborah.
Deborah.
Okay.
Yes, Deborah Torrado. Good evening, everyone.
Hi,
So I agree with him 100%. I worked for New York City Transit for over 29 years on White Plains Road. I also grew up in the community. And so with them putting the bike lanes on the sidewalk, is 100% dangerous. Expanding the sidewalks to the bus stop doesn't make any sense because now you don't allow the other cars freely to flow. I understand putting a petition for the customers for the buses so that they're not standing in the street, but to merge the whole sidewalk so that no one can pass when the buses make bus stops. To me, that's a disaster. There's no place on White Plains Road to park, and the lighting is not sufficient. It's so dark under there, you don't want to walk or get out your car in the first place. So we have to talk about more lighting for the community, and they need to talk to us because it's not working. I pass stores and refuse to go in them because I can't get into the stores because of parking. And the meter people are out there giving out tickets faster in this community than any other community. So we really need to have that conversation with DOT to find out how we can work to make our community make sense for us.
That what you got?
And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Great. Ted?
I'm on the phone, all right?
Okay.
Hi, John.
Hey, Ted. I saw your hand
Hey,
raised,
John.
and then we're going to go to Alfredo.
Yeah.
This is Carl.
Okay, call.
Carl, John, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I just want to reiterate that, I'm a board member, but I'm also a resident in the community. Been here for over 30 years. And as most of you would know, I opposed this bike lane project when it came to the board.
Yes,
I
I remember.
still oppose it. I agree with Q and Deborah because I ride my bike as well, but I also drive. My household have 3 vehicles. Every time we leave our house, the first road we go on is White Plains Road. I've complained many times about a truck that was parked on White Plains Road for months. Finally,
On the corner, sorry to interrupt, on the corner of 218 and White Plains Road.
Exactly, that's my house right there. And they finally got it moved. So I understand what the residents are saying. I am a resident. I am a board member. Not because it comes to the board, I'm going to agree with it because to me this bike lane, it will not work in this community. Most residents in this community are people with houses and they drive. We don't, if I want to ride my bike, I go over to Bronx the Park, Shoelace Park. I don't generally commute on my bike, so I don't need a bike lane, but I think this bike lane would have been better served maybe on Bronxwood Avenue or let them go over to Bronx Park East. I don't think White Plains is a road, it's for commercial traffic. Now we have the trains, we have bikes, we have limited traffic tremendously on White Plains Road, and it's a major thoroughfare for commercial traffic. So, this is just a disaster. I hope we can get it corrected. But as I said, I warned the board about this when the project came, and I'm still opposed to it. I hope we can get it reversed. Thank you, guys.
Okay, great. Alfredo?
Good evening, Chair. Sorry for coming on late. I didn't really catch most of the stuff. I think the gentleman, Mr. Q, was
Actually, we
speaking.
started kind of late, Alfredo.
Okay. First of all, good evening, everybody. The bike lane situation. I get what Ted's saying. I get what Mr. Q is saying, and everybody else. This proposal was brought to us, and there was public hearings. I think a couple of them. The issue with the bike crossing on the sidewalk, that's a problem, and I think we told them about that. So if that is still going on, maybe that's something that we could revisit. In regards to the bike lanes, unfortunately, we voted for this, so I don't know how we could go back and take it away. There was a similar situation that happened on Dykeman Street from Broadway to the park, and it was a nightmare, and the community voted for it, and they tried to reverse it and they couldn't. I mean, listen. I mean, I have issues when I go to White Plains, especially to the supermarkets, with the people with the dollar cabs. They're very disrespectful. You know, they stand there all day with their cars. They take everybody's parking, and they don't move on 233rd, on 225, 218. They just stand out there all day doing the dollar cab. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I get the issue with the trucks double parking in the streets is because there's people out there that are just taking up parking spaces that they're not supposed to. Again, we all live up here. We own homes up here. We drive. I drive. I have 5 cars. I drive every day. You know what I mean? So I know the traffic. I know the bikes. I know the scooters. I see everything, and I get it. I mean, it's a congested area. When I first moved up here, like 15, 16 years ago, the population was not as much as it is. In the last 3, 4 years, the population in CB12, I'm gonna say, has grown to over 200,000 people more. So that's more cars, more people, and it's just just life in the city, unfortunately. And again, I feel for everybody that has an issue. I feel for them, trust me. But I mean, we could try to have a conversation with DOT to see, what if there's any suggestions that they can make, or I mean, I don't know, John, Ursula, how can we even try to overturn this now at this stage of the game, if it's even possible.
And we're on phase 2.
Yeah,
Um,
unfortunately. But good evening, guys. Thank you.
Okay, I would like to
thank you.
acknowledge.
John, can I just say one thing, please? Thank you so much for that, Alfredo.
Of course.
This is our community. You understand? And I wish there was outreach to me, so I could have. I literally got a petition of 1,300 signed within 48 hours of people who oppose this. So if we need to continue to take more drastic measures, protest, whatever I need to do to get the attention of the mayor and the commission of the DOT, I'll do that. But one point I'd like to make that I didn't make is that we are now sacrificing and trading the lives of people in this community. I have spoken with people from the fire department, people from 9 Metro Tech. I've spoken with first responders. I've spoken with the police department. They used to take 3 minutes to get from 233rd to 222nd on White Plains Road in the case of an emergency. Now they're taking 10 to 13 minutes. We are sacrificing the livelihood, the lives, and the wellness of people in this community. If that's not something to bring forward, to speak with the Department of Transportation, we're not going to say, let's try to talk to no, we are going to talk to the Department of Transportation, and they are going to listen, because I am documenting everything. As this call is being recorded, I am documenting every single thing. And God forbid that one person passes away because a first responder or the fire department can't get through on White Plains Road. It's going to be a real sad day. And I'm not going to want to hear anyone coming together and, oh, let's mourn for this person or send a GoFundMe. We can do something about it right now. We made the wrong decision. That's life. We make wrong decisions and we support things that were wrong, and we move forward. I'm pretty sure everyone on this call has done something in their life which they regretted and they wanted to change over. As someone in the community, I am not going to sacrifice the safety of people in this community so the Department of Transportation and the freaking New York City mayor can feel better about themselves. That's not going to happen. You can speak with the fire department, you can speak with the police department, you can speak with the EMTs. It is literally a disaster.
All right, Q. I'm gonna give someone else. I want to acknowledge my chair. Would like to say something, Ms. Carnell.
Thank you so much. We feel your pain, Q. This is a conversation that's been happening a lot across our board. Ursula, is Ursula here?
Yeah, she's on.
Would we be able to schedule a public hearing for this?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a way that maybe, I mean, these are things that we can bring up. We do like some sort of like time frame where like hours, during the day, maybe, can we propose something like that?
It depends on DOT schedule. Like I said, I spoke to them on Tuesday. They told me they were going to be here, but they're not here. So George just texted the commissioner, hasn't gotten a response back. I just emailed everybody. No one has emailed me back. So we just have to lock them in on the time and the date that they will come, and then we can do it.
All right. I'm willing to send them emails as well, so I'll connect with you offline to get those contact info,
I'll
email
send it to
addresses
you
from you.
first thing in the morning.
Okay, and I'll reach out to a few folks too.
Okay.
Okay.
John, may I say something?
Yes, sir.
You know, even if I'm going to tell you something. The mood of the city government is to put in bicycle lanes, whether we like it or not. That's why Eric Adams placed the current Commissioner of Transportation in that position, because he is the most pro bicycle lane person in city government. And even if we oppose the bike lane, we probably would have wound up with it, because that's what their mandate is, to provide bike lanes for bicyclists. And White Plains was, you know, it's not the best location. I do some shopping around 218, 217th Street. First of all, you can never find a parking space. Number two, the bike lanes, they usually has cars parked in it. And then they get upset when they can't get out, when the people are legally parked next to the bike lane. So I don't know if we ever can overturn this, but we have to remember we're only advisory, and the city government does what it wants to do. And we've been shafted many times before, but we have less chance now with the new transportation commissioner, who happens to live in Washington Heights, and he's putting in bike lanes all over the place, which is detrimental to the community, his own community. So I don't see him backing off on what we have now. We can give it a good effort, but I don't see it as winnable.
We can start with
Oh.
the effort, like you said.
Hello.
Start with making some suggestions.
But
But Q, we're with you. I mean, we are advisory, unfortunately, but we can definitely fight.
I completely understand, and I'm not opposed to bike lanes. I own a bike. I've rode bikes up and down in the community my entire life. We can move it to Bronxwood. That is very viable. That is doable. That makes more sense.
Q,
So that
these are the
can be done.
ideas. These are the ideas when we have our public hearing. We're going to make sure that we have that. These are the ideas and the proposals that we can suggest, right? Like even the time frame. Can we switch it so that maybe like 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. there's no bikes? Can we switch it so that maybe it can just, you know, give access? I don't know the answers, but I'm saying we can definitely have a public hearing and see what we can do.
hold on, I see all the raised hands. I was wondering, when I spoke to you, Q, we were talking. I was gonna ask, how about if we gave like concessions to the business district, where there's a certain time when we could have that multi parking in the lanes and all stuff, especially at Granby, the funeral home. She might have like this enormous funeral, and that spot out in the front might be very important for her. Um, Alfredo, what you think? You think that's something that we could do?
I mean, it's the painting on the street, you know. So I don't know how realistic that's gonna be. And unfortunately, people in our community, they really don't follow rules. As we can see how they're parking all over the place in the bike lanes. Some people are parked straight. Some people are parked diagonally. Some people are parked in the bike lane. So we want to try to make it as simple and as seamless as possible. But I definitely wouldn't oppose some form or sort of concession. But honestly, to move it to Bronxwood when we do have that hearing, I think I'll be all for that.
Okay. Luke Sabatos, I see your hand. Ms. Benitez and Alfredo, I see you again. Ms. Benitez, go ahead, please.
I have a concern.
Okay.
You're talking about having a public hearing. You know what happens when we have a public hearing? No one shows up.
And that's
now,
we had two of them.
Yeah, no one shows up. Now that you all are being affected by this, you're coming here to the board to complain about what was asked of you months ago when we were having those public hearings and asked you to show up. And you're beating us to death about this when you should have been beating the Department of Transportation when we did the public hearings. If you have two public hearings and the businesses that are talking here now didn't even show up for that, what makes you think they're going to show up for the third one?
It was a public hearing.
All right.
That's it.
Okay.
I would
So
just like to thank you so much for
Hold
that.
on,
I would like to
Q,
respond by saying,
Q, you gotta give us a minute. Alfredo had his hand raised. We have to have an orderly meeting, please.
But these guys are registered with them. We're not. Huh?
Alfredo.
Luke's hand was up before mine, so after Luke, I'll go.
Okay, great. Luke.
Okay, so this often happens, and where, like I've said, there's growing pains with new bike lane, and that's because car dependency is really very much entrenched into our physical built environment. We review new buildings and the buildings that don't even require parking to be built. We require and we advocate for additional parking. That puts more cars on the street. I'm living in a new building where my neighbor, because he's able to have a parking space off the street, he buys a second car so that he can park it on the street. That's creating more car congestion, more competition for parking. Removing the bike lanes is not going to solve our congestion problem. Our congestion problem, as we see on the bridge on Gun Hill Road, we see ambulances stalled, waiting in this crowd of parked cars. That's because we're using our cars when we should be using our transit. The solution to congestion is mass transit. White Plains Road is a mass transit corridor. It has the capacity to run tens of thousands of people all the way up and down. It's got accessibility stations all the way up and down. We've got bus bulb outs that are accessible for the elderly. We should be using these mass transit solutions because what's going to happen is exactly what's happened before this bike lane happened, where it was chaos and people get hurt. People get hurt when there's not an organized manner to the street. I've tried to report illegal parking in the bike lanes. The police department, they're not enforcing it. The bike lanes actually serve, if they were enforced and properly cleared, as a way for ambulances to get through the corridor around the parked cars. We need to be really taking into consideration how we use this corridor because it's built for mass transit, and that's going to be our solution to all this congestion. One other point is that economic data that the city has collected shows that after about 3 years of implementation, businesses see additional circulation. And what's great about when we build our environments and design our environments for more circulation, bike lanes can circulate more cars, more bikes and more people per square foot than a car lane can. And our businesses thrive off of foot traffic, and that's what we're trying to promote. When we only have so much space for parking and in a width of the street, we can't accommodate people's third car, fourth car, fifth car. This is insane. The cars are getting bigger and they're taking up more parking spaces. The size of an SUV fits 20 bikes. We need to really think about how we're getting around. Is the car the best way to get to White Plains Road? With all our mass transit options, I don't think it is.
Yeah, because you're not shopping.
Alfredo?
I do shop on White Plains Road.
Look. All right, guys. So I think we're getting out of topic here. So I guess the focus is to try to get DOT back on the the focus is to get DOT back on the board. You know what I'm saying? For we could explain to them. And as Ms. Benitez and John stated before, and even our chair, we had public hearings and unfortunately nobody showed up. Then again, we just advisory, there's only so much we can do, but to revisit this, it's not only going to take into account the bike lanes, it's going to take into account all the other vehicles that are using White Plains Road for illegal activities, like the dollar.
Sorry, let me interrupt you, Alfredo. The borough commissioner should be on soon. I'm sorry.
Okay, all right. So you know what, John? I'm gonna you back. I think you should hold your questions until the borough commissioner comes. When the borough commissioner comes, give him the floor. I mean, hopefully, I mean, maybe you could explain to him what's been happening like that. Everybody don't have to speak again, otherwise we're gonna be here to 12, and just explain to them
Good
that we want
evening.
them, that let them know straight up that we want them a new meeting ASAP, and that's it.
Okay, great.
Good
All right.
evening.
Thank you, guys. Good evening.
Good, good evening. This is Eris Granby, and my apologies for coming on late. I just have one major concern. I keep hearing that you had hearings and nobody attended. As a merchant on White Plains Road, a business owner, I was never informed about any meetings. And I try to be a little bit up to date, but no notice came to my office. No notice came through my emails. No notice came in the mail about any hearings about how the White Plains Road would be changed.
You know,
And
okay,
I have concerns about that,
all
sir.
right,
Let me
hey,
just,
Ms.
let
Granby, DOT is gonna be on the line. John's gonna speak with them. We're gonna
I,
try to
I
get
will
them back.
I will mute I will mute until they come on. Thank you.
You guys.
Hey,
sorry.
good evening, anyone. I'm sorry to interrupt. My name is Jesus Soto. I am representing the Bronx DOT Commissioner's Office. Keith will not be able to attend. Any questions, concerns, feel free to throw them my way, and
Okay.
I'll be sure Keith.
Hold on one second. Hold on, Jesus.
First,
Thank you for coming. Let me say this. DOT put signs in the street on the poles with the meeting information.
right.
Okay, ma'am, in case you are not aware of my business, we are a structure. I do not go and read street polls. Okay, I do not park on the street, so I'm not reading street polls that have signs on them. Only time I'm concerned about signage on those poles is when we have a police or fire department death and they're putting up the no parking signs. I have a pole right in front of, I have actually two poles, two telephone poles right in front of my building. And not once did I see a sign on those poles saying that there was going to be a hearing. Not once. And then to add, like I said, insult to injury, not even a flyer was walked into our building to hand it to us to say that there was going to be a hearing on this matter. I find it quite disrespectful if you think that I'm going to be looking at a poll as if I was a dog.
All right, I don't mean to disrespect you, but this is Ursula. I've been to your office. I've spoken to your brother. I've responded to you on email. So I don't know why you think that I was being disrespectful because I said there were signs on the pole, but I was in no way trying to be that disrespectful to you. But I think you know me because I'm well aware of you, and I will give you a call tomorrow because I don't want to do this in front of everybody online.
John, I think you should
Thank you.
take
So
over, John.
let's
John,
yes.
mute everybody, John, if you don't mind. Mute everybody. Speak, and the representatives from DOT's here, and let's try to one go. Try to make an appointment with DOT. Otherwise, this is gonna get out of hand.
Okay, great. Mr. Soto? Hello?
Yes, sir. I'm here. I
Hi,
apologize.
hi, good evening. So the issues we're having is on the project that was done on White Plains Road, I guess between 241st and Gun Hill area with the bike lanes. The merchants and the residents are very unhappy with the loss of the parking spaces and the movement of the bike lanes on White Plains Road. Is there anything that that we could do? We would like to meet with DOT and have like another public hearing about this.
Well, we are more than happy to meet. But as far as changing the course of the bike lanes or possibly reinstating parking, I don't know if that is feasible or possible at this point. But um, we can definitely talk offline if you want to set up a date for us to talk or us to just go over concerns in more detail. I wasn't too involved in the processes when White Plains Road ended up happening. I'm I'm not new, but I'm fairly new. So it was I was it's a gray area for me. I don't know too much, but I do know that our office physically went out and put flyers out on cars, and for sure put flyers out on in front of most of the businesses within that segment. I can't speak to which businesses or what segments or what portions of the sidewalk were not flagged or flyered, but I do know that people in our very office went out personally and handed out flyers. It's unfortunate that some people didn't really get the proper notice, but I do know for sure that people were out there handing out flyers and putting them on cars and posting street posts everywhere.
Okay. All right. So I guess through Ursula and George, we're gonna reach out, I guess, to Keith and try to see if we could schedule a meeting, a public hearing. So Alfredo, I see your hand raised. I'm gonna go.
No.
Is
I
it
think
Joey? Joey?
my hand is raised in error. Sorry.
Okay, Joey had his hand raised for the longest.
You speak. Hello.
Hi, Joey.
Hi. I have a business on White Plains Road between 238 and 239. And they put loading zones in there, which the trucks can't even get in there. And so what they do is they just double park and they cause a hazard. Recently this week, the fire trucks couldn't get through. And the other cars that can't get out go on the sidewalk and drive. So you can't tell me that's a safety feature and stuff like that. And the customers can't get in and out. And to make it worse, they're building 2 new apartment buildings across the street. And each apartment has 60 more apartments.
Okay, so you said the loading zone is a problem, right?
The loading zone, the trucks can't get in there. Even the people that clean the streets don't come in anymore. They don't even pick the garbage up over there anymore. The garbage is still sitting out there that was supposed to be picked up yesterday.
Joey, excuse me. So question, the loading zone,
it's in front of businesses between 238 and 239 because
right, is it a brand new loading zone?
Yeah, they put it recently. Okay. I think about a month ago or something they created, but the trucks can't get in there.
Right.
There's no way for them to get in there because they even put parking spaces in driveways.
If you could, or I'll connect with Ursula tomorrow. Just send me that in writing so that way I could have our prospective unit go out and take a look, because if they put a loading zone there that can't be utilized by the trucks that need to unload.
That's why they're all double parked. And recently, I mean, the cars can swing because across the street it's a glass guy. His trucks can't do what they do, so they double park, and there's a truck double park delivering to me. The fire trucks can't get by, any trucks can't get by, buses can't get by, but a car can get by because he can wait and he could swing around. And they were blowing the horns, the fire department. The guy he wasn't even in the truck. And stuff. There's a lot of things.
And most importantly, our customers can't get to our stores. They're parking around the corner, and it's really hard for them because they're carrying their jobs around the corner, and then we have to hand truck it to them.
And then
our customers are like some elderly parking around the corner. They can't find parking, then they go away, and we're losing business.
And we can't use a bike. I mean, bikes have a limit to what you do. If you got to go to the store and pick up 10 to 15 cartons, you can't use a bike and stuff. It's not a really good safety feature that I see, and I don't think they really thought it through. Now, a friend of mine, we became friendly. He's a supervisor with sanitation. He said they weren't told they were doing this. He said, how are we going to plow the street now?
They can't get through.
They can't get through. And you got the cars parked halfway out.
And if you're in a parking lot trying to get out, your visibility is blocked
Blocked by the
because you gotta
poles.
go over the sidewalk to the bike lane, then to the double park, to the regular park lane, and then try to get into the street. But there's cars here and here. You can't see. I almost got hit twice.
Yeah, I don't think this was thought through personally. I think one of them was right that it was something that our mayor wanted to put through and stuff like that. Because if you have a business on White Plains Road, like Q says, Q, I've been following you and stuff like that, and I want to congratulate you for all the time and effort you put into this. But they didn't have any consideration for the business people. That's what they should have did first. Now, on our street between 238 and 239, if we see one or two bikes, that's a lot in a day, and half of them are on the sidewalk. And the scooters are just left all over the place.
All right, great. Ted, I'm gonna let Luke Mark jump on. You had a turn. I'm gonna let you speak in a few minutes. Luke, Mark.
Hello, sir. Yes, sir. Good evening, everyone. I'm actually new to this committee, but I think I've listened to everybody, what everybody has said, and we're all saying the same thing. But I want to ask a question. Before this project was actually implemented, was there anything like a pilot program to see if it will work, or everything was just done at once? Because at this time, if it is done and it is not benefiting the people that it's supposed to benefit, and it's not working, I don't think it should be forced down the people. It should be a way to revisit it, to actually see how do we make this work. If it's not working, then we have actually missed the goal. So I
And it
think we
can be
should,
corrected.
it can, yes, find a way to correct it, because if people are not happy with the project that's being done, and we want to say we cannot revisit because it's already been done, then we're going to live with it the rest of our lives and just be unhappy. So I think the DOT should be able to say, you know what, we made a mistake, or what was done, it's not working the way we thought it was going to work. The well-being, the welfare of people are not actually being considered, or not, it's not working. So let's go back and look at it. And let's see this, let's just take this as a pilot project. The next phase, let's see what we can change to make it work. That's what I can say. Thank you very much.
Luke Mark. I just want to let you
Yes,
know
sir.
that DOT installed phase one, and then the community board went back and asked them to install phase two. So there were two phases for this.
Was it
Again,
tested to be sure it to work? It was working, because we are talking about it's not working right now because the first one wasn't tested properly.
no one complained about phase one. So it was a while after phase one that they
What was phase
installed phase
one?
two.
What was phase one? What was done in phase one?
Um, yes, sir.
We never received any letters or something on the poles where we were. I mean, they're
John,
doing all construction
we
there.
have to keep the meeting to a minimum. If everybody's speaking, they cannot speak over other people. You're limited to 3 minutes per segment. There's a lot of people on the call. A lot of people want to speak, but if we're gonna speak, we have to be mindful of other people's time also, and also the chair needs to acknowledge the people that are speaking. We cannot speak just because we want to speak. Listen, we know everybody's upset. The gentleman from DOT is here. He's taking notes. He's going to try to make a meeting happen. When the meeting occurs, DOT is going to be here. The commissioner from the Bronx is going to be here. Everyone could then come and voice their opinions and, and speak their minds. But here, right now, there's not much we can do here, but going back and forth and speaking over each other, it's not going to help.
Or,
yeah. All right. So please give my chair the respect, guys. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Alfredo. Beatrice?
Thank you all. And again, we understand the frustration. We are advisory, but Jesus, can you recap? Because I think this is the point, right? We've all said the same things. We just want to make sure that when you go back to your supervisor, the commissioner, can you recap what we've said for us real quick, like bullet points of what our concerns are? We want to make sure you capture all of our information, all of our concerns accurately.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. So I apologize for my kids in the background. You may hear them, so I'm so sorry. So what I got from that was clear opposition to the bike lane. and loading zones inaccessible for the business owners. For that specific segment, was it 238 and 239 on White Plains Road?
Yeah, 238, 239.
Between 238 and 239.
But it's the entire corridor, right? Because there's people further down.
Well,
So
no,
it's
yeah.
not just 238
No,
it's
no,
the
no.
entire White Plains corridor. I just want to help you out to make sure you get it accurately.
Right.
The
No,
entire
I know.
White Plains corridor.
I'm sorry. I was just pinpointing Joey's what he said about the segment between 23 and 239. I know very well it's the whole corridor. I am so sorry. Give me 1 second.
Okay. Next, we're gonna let him know we're talking about safety, right? We were saying that the fire trucks can't get through, so
And the
safety
ambulance
to,
and yeah.
okay. We want to make sure he acknowledges that too, that it's also our safety, people's pedestrian safety.
Yes, that is another bullet that I have here. Is just overall safety of pedestrians, cyclists, and motorists. Really.
Right, like EMT, fire trucks, cops, like nobody can get through, right? And it's delaying the amount of time that it takes for them to get to an incident.
Yes.
John, what else are we missing?
Well, the safety, the fire. I guess part of the people don't understand. Part of the reason that they put those islands out there was because the people unloading from the buses into the streets and into the oncoming cars. So that was a safety hazard. That's why the bulb outs and all that stuff happened. But I guess this is something that we have to revisit. We have to make concessions. If we either want to be safe or we just want to just do anything and just get by. I really don't know. There's
Right.
there's no middle.
Right. But let's give him the list that he brings back, right? So we also spoke about the small business suffering, right?
Yes.
Businesses are suffering. That's another one that we have to
So
add.
we're creating a hardship for these people.
Right. So their loading trucks can't unload. Businesses are suffering because they can't get to the actual businesses.
Yes.
We just want to make sure if you can repeat what you have so far, Jesus.
I have the bike lane opposition, loading zones inaccessible for the trucks loading and unloading. I have cars driving on the sidewalk. I have EMS fire trucks slow down response time, safety for the pedestrians. I'm not sure if I said the small businesses suffering, hardship for the small businesses. I'm just writing them as I hear them.
There's one other thing, Beatrice, there's one other thing, that the buses can't get around the trucks that are unloading under the L.
Right. That's an important one too.
Yeah.
And people can't get to work.
Thank you, Carl.
Hello, this is Eris Granby. We're not objecting to the bus stops having a platform for pedestrians to be safe. That we're not objecting to. We're objecting to the fact that there is a total disorder. No one knows how to park. And not for anything else, I'm sure the meters are not being paid for because nobody knows how to park. Whereas when we were parking on the sidewalk, there was an accountability. And I don't know about anybody else as the business owner. I have yet to see a meter person go up and down the street since they did this parking fiasco. And that maybe the city is also losing revenue because of the fact that what's going on. It's total confusion. There is no direction. Besides the fact that people don't know how to park properly.
We're just trying to bullet point now. So what you're saying is meters should also be looked at. They're not adhering to that as well. So Jesus, if you can
No,
write that as
not
well.
at all.
Thank you.
Not at all.
Okay,
I'm
we're
sorry.
good.
I'm sorry, Ursula. Again, we discussed that with traffic enforcement. That's gonna happen sooner than you guys think, and then you're gonna get those complaints.
Okay.
Beatrice, I just wanted to also have him jot down just the inclusivity and equity. Like, use those words specifically.
Sure.
Commissioner Adonis really speaks on that, and I'm not going to lie. There was no outreach done. I'm not, those flyers that allegedly went out were never received. I myself have a network of 50 to 100 business owners that when I did my survey and walked up and down like someone from DOT should have done, I have a minimum of 100 people that I guarantee I could put my life on it. They are coming to that next meeting because we're going to know when it is. I never knew anything. I'm not the type of person to allow something to happen and then start crying about it afterwards. On my children.
We got you. I'm sorry. We just really have to keep this moving.
Yeah.
I just
No,
want to make sure
understood.
they
I just wanted
capture
to be
everything.
clear that there was zero inclusivity, no equity, and I knew about nothing.
Okay. Thank you, Q.
We got Benga and Clinton. Benga? Clinton Mike, go ahead. We're not hearing from Benga.
Good evening.
Good evening, Clinton.
I just want to say, yes, we as a board, we did vote for the bike lane to be there. But most recently, I've been watching the bike lane, and I just want Mr. Soto to also mention, since he's reaching out to whoever, that there's no one's maintaining the bike lanes. They're there. Some may not want them there, some want them there, but no one's maintaining them. There is constant parking in the bike lane, and that's just something that needs to be mentioned if we're trying to limit them or remove them or whatever the case may be. There's no enforcement whatsoever.
So if I could, I just want to be sure that, just be clear, by maintaining, you strictly mean enforcement?
No. They're filthy.
Okay,
Trash
because
in the bike lane
Trash
because
collectors.
what I'm thinking is that, like, when the street cleaners come by, I guess if they do come by at all, like they because of the way the cars are situated now with the parking next to the bike lane, like they cannot get through there to clean the bike lanes properly.
got it, understood.
All right. Benga? All right, Luke. Your hand's been raised for a while.
One thing that I would request from DOT is a crash data on whether there's been any change in the number of injuries, crashes that has been seen since before the bike lane and now. I'd also like to say that DOT hasn't even finished painting these spaces. I'm not sure how these projects can get completed when the pedestrian tan paint hasn't even been pedestrian areas hasn't been completed. So if DOT could note that these like Clinton was saying, these bike lanes aren't functioning like they should, and that's because there's a lack of coordination on behalf of our city agencies to make sure that these are used properly. We've got the FDNY right in front of their station house that parks in it. They don't care at all. They use it as their parking lot. We've got the MTA. I've been working with Ursula to try to get this addressed. They use it as their bus layover location, even though there are other spots that they can go. The NYPD doesn't, they say it's not in their jurisdiction to enforce. So what we need is that we need to lead, and we need to see these bike lanes to reduce the congestion as they're designed to do. And also, this call doesn't exactly represent all the voices. There are people, deliveristas, who use bicycle infrastructure that aren't able to speak English, and they don't have a voice at this meeting. So I'm just saying that even though there's a lot of opposition right now, there might be other voices that we're not taking in.
Okay. All right. Ms. Benitez?
In reference to the parking, when they established the parking spaces, they mostly allowed maybe 4 cars, maybe 5 cars that could park in the legal spots. That's taking away a lot of parking spaces. And that is why you see a lot of people illegally parking in bike lanes and so forth and doing their jump in and jump out to do their business. I think they took so many parking spaces away that there's not enough room for any additional people to do anything, any other business. But I mean, 4 spaces per block, that's insane. That's totally insane. And if that's what the businesses are worried about, that's where, that focus should be on, redesigning those parking spots and indicate, you take away maybe what, 1 or 2 car spaces at the beginning of the block and 1 or 2 car spaces at the end of the block, either for the scooters, to park the scooters. I mean, that doesn't make sense. So that would definitely affect the businesses in this area. And I like to say something to the business people in this area. For many years, we've been trying to get a merchants association. This is the first time I've seen all you people come out for anything.
Thank you. That's what.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And everyone came out because I told them to.
Okay, but okay, so if you're a good leader, what you should be trying to do is get these people who are merchants, get them together to start a merchants association, so that things like this won't happen down the line. I mean, for years they've been trying to get a merchants association started up on along the White Plains corridor, and nobody wants to do it. No one wants to do it. Everybody's individualized. It's only I, me, and myself.
What was the group that those guys were?
Yeah, that was the group that Michael had at one point. But none of the merchants along the corridor, except for maybe 40 at the most, maybe out of 300 and something businesses along White Plains Road. That's all that wants to be in a merchants association. That's unheard of. So if you're the leader, then you need to start do your stomping again and see and talk with your politicians, Councilman Riley's office, and see you start doing an merchants association and work with the community board for things that happen along the corridor.
Great. Ted James.
Hey, John, as far as the list that is being compiled, I just wanted to put on that list that I think the preference would be to have the bike lanes on Bronxwood Avenue. And secondly, we were told that the bike lanes or scooter, whatever it is, that was a pilot program. Somebody asked about that earlier.
Yeah, but
we were told it was a pilot program.
It was
and we never really got the results of the pilot.
Yes, they issued, there was like a press release and a whole bunch of statistics and everything was released with the amount of rides and amount of hours and all that stuff. They did, and I think they said it was going to continue because they got a good reception about this thing.
All right.
Mr. Isaac, could one more thing be added to that list for Mr. Soto, please? The bike lanes under the train, because there's no space in the street, they actually merge into the sidewalk, which can be extremely hazardous. So I do agree with that notion that we should move it to Bronxwood, but let's have that the bike lane is actually on the sidewalk. That definitely 1000% needs to be addressed by DOT if we're going to try to make this bike lane work on White Plains Road.
Okay. All right, thanks. Jasmine Morrell from Carl Hasty's office.
Yes. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I just want to introduce myself. My name is Jasmine. I'm from Assemblyman Carl E. Hasty's office in the district. You know, you guys can always reach out to our office. My colleague is also here, Patrica, and we're always
Hi, everyone.
accessible. If there's an issue, reach out to our office. If anyone wants our contact information, I'll drop it in
we'd
the
love
chat.
the contact information. Would you be able to say it? Because I'm actually on a phone. So please, if you could just tell it, or I could get it from Ursula.
So,
I'll get it from Ursula. We don't want to waste any time. I'll get it from
Sounds
Ursula.
great.
Thank you.
Okay. So guys, it's getting late. So what we're gonna do, I know Alfredo, what you're gonna say. First thing, actually, I wanna thank everyone for coming out. I wanna thank my chair for being here to support us. I would like to actually thank the chair of the economic development, Ms. Judah Benitez, because number one, it's affecting the businesses out there. It's a public safety, and we have our public safety chair out there. We have a land use chair, our second vice chair, which is me, is there, and the first vice chair, Mike. So we're well represented. The board is here. The committee is are here. I want to thank everyone. Joey and
I
Q.
have one quick question.
Yes.
Why in certain places they put the bike lanes on the left of the cars that are parked to the curb?
I have no idea. That's a question we have to ask DOT. That they
I'm
don't.
sorry, can you repeat that question?
In some parts, you park your car to the curb. The bike lane is on the left. It's on the street side.
That can work. That can work.
That would, if they did that, there would be no problem. And nobody would be complaining or stuff like that. That would definitely work, and nobody would interfere with anything and stuff like that. But that's in certain spots, we've seen it, that the cars are parked to the curb and the bike lane is on the left. So that's something they can consider too.
Is there like a hazard with there's some kind of interference with the bike on the car if it's on the left?
I don't think so. Why would they
door
put it
opening.
in certain areas?
Yeah, I have a picture. I could send it to you after the call, Mr. Isaac, of exactly what he's talking about. I actually have a split side by side of what he's talking about, and it's done all over the city. So that is an excellent question. If Mr. Soto could write it down.
Great.
I do have it written down. I do know for sure that the reason why they would put the bike lane on the inside is to just have it protected from moving traffic. But I definitely I listen, as a human being, not a city employee, I completely understand, and I understand the frustration, and I wrote down as much as I could. I'm gonna sit down with Keith and the team tomorrow, and we will reach out to you as when to discuss some dates for when we can meet again.
All right, great. Could like the certain businesses like Granby and Joey and Q, could DOT actually go out and visit their locations and see what kind of hardship is being created?
I would literally walk with them block by block from Glendale Road to 241st.
This is Eris Granby. They have come to my funeral home and saw the problem, but they can come back again and again and again. And I will still say the same thing. I'm concerned about the safety of our community. And by the grace of God, we haven't had snow yet.
Yeah, maybe that's what needs to happen, a snowstorm, because then everything would be gridlocked.
Yeah, they definitely could come to Craft Printers. We'll go over everything with them. We got no problems.
Okay.
And it may help.
All right. Great. So we're gonna pick this up at the public hearing with DOT. Again, I want to thank everyone for coming out. Can I get a motion to close? Any more questions before I proceed to close? Alfredo?
Thank you, guys. Thank everybody for coming out. I think Banga put something on the chat because I guess his phone wasn't working. But at the same token, I want to thank Mr. Soto for taking his time to coming here. I know Mr. Keith couldn't come. Keith is pretty good with coming. Maybe something came up. But definitely, Mr. Soto, if you could bring back these points. I guess the main thing besides all those is that we really 100% need a meeting ASAP. Like that, we could speak regarding the bullet points that were brought up. If you could make that happen ASAP, I think you heard from everyone here, both the board, and my name is Alfredo Figueroa. I'm the chair of the Public Safety Committee. If you could bring that back to Keith and let him know that that we really need a meeting with him ASAP, and whether it's short notice or long notice, we will take either one. Just let Ursula know when, and we'll send out an email to whomever we have on our email list that a meeting is going to occur. So I suggest everyone that's on this particular call, if we do not have your email on our mailing list, you are not going to get an email from us. So be mindful, put your email on the chat like that. Anything regarding this particular meeting that we're having now, if we do have another public hearing and you are on our mailing list, you will get notification by email. And again, thank you, Mr. Soto, and thank the board for this meeting.
Thank you all. I apologize for my tardiness as well.
Mr. Soto, I'm gonna also put my email in the chat. I just would love to be looped in all of the correspondence.
Great.
Absolutely.
Hi, this is Eris Granby. I'm on the phone, so I cannot put my email in the chat. So how do I communicate to you?
Just say it.
Ursula,
You can reach out to Ursula and the community board, and we can connect that way for sure.
Thank you.
John, I'm going to give you a call afterwards.
okay, Ms. Benitez.
Okay.
Ali,
Hi, good evening. How do I obtain this recording?
you will probably have to go see Ursula or George at the community.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Isaac.
Okay, great. All right, guys, can I get a motion to close?
Hello, good evening.
So moved.
We have one more. People still have questions. Called Humphrey, Barrington Humphrey.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good evening, everyone. My name is Barrington, and I sit down here and I listen to all the issues that's going on White Plains Road. Sometimes when I'm traveling to, because I go to Bronxwood Avenue to church, and then sometimes when we are trying to go on to 20th Street or to 90th Street on from White Plains Road going up to Barnes Avenue, there is always traffic, always double parking, and sometimes it's so hard to go through. It is so hard to go through. Some say, my God, what if there's an accident and things go wrong? There's no one to really come to our aid quickly as an ambulance also. So I understand what you guys are saying, and hopefully things can work out and things can get back in place the way it's supposed to be, for our safety.
All right.
And next thing I want to ask you, sir, when will be the next meeting? Because
it's not decided as yet. You would have to call the community board and put your email on the list so Ursula can send you a link to the meeting.
Okay, sir. Okay, so then I will get in touch with you guys. Okay.
All right. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you. Have a good night. Okay.
Okay. We have a motion on the table to close. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second.
Second. Third.
Guys, I'm sorry. We have a big issue and this is important and we need to really take care of it. I just want to again thank everyone for coming out, and thanks Alfredo. I mean I could just sense the frustration. I feel so bad about the whole thing, but we promise we're with you guys and we're gonna work to get through this.
Isaac,
Yes, sir. Norbert.
I want to say something to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Don't feel bad about it because you know what happened? It's because we to the rock back up know why they are coming out and they are chatting and making all the noise when they're supposed to come and invite them to meeting. The meeting is right under their nose. Right under their nose at White Plains Road where the business is. They don't want to come to meeting. You invite them, they know about the meeting, they don't want to come and sit in and hear what's going on. But because it affects them, they're complaining. So don't feel bad about it. Because they did get notice to come to meeting, and not even said that. You need to know what's going on in your community. Don't wait until it happens, now you complain. Come on board and make sure your voice heard.
Email? Now you get an email?
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Norbert. We had a motion to close. Ms. Benitez, we'll talk in a few. All right, thanks, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
All right.
Good night. Good night, everyone.
Thank you for everything.
Buenas noches.
Buenas
Have a good
noches.
night, everyone. Have a good night.